We welcome in a junior college champion, went on to transfer to USC where he was first team All Pac-10, the 34th overall pick in the 2001 NBA draft. He went on to have an illustrious 11-year NBA career, including winning a championship with the Boston Celtics in 2008. You can see the banner behind him. Known and loved by many, and now the play-by-play and color commentator. He does both, people, for the Boston Celtics. Welcome into the long shot. Friend of mine, Brian Scalabrine. Scal, how we doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you reached out. I was going to play hard to get and shit and make you teach my son how to hoop, but I'll just do the podcast, man. I don't need anything from you.
What do you mean you were going to play hard to get? You left me on red on Friday.
Yeah, like a little trade and barter. Like my son loves you, and he wants to understand, like, every time he catches the ball high and shoots it high, he always yells, Duncan Robinson, Duncan Robinson. So it's like, how the hell can you shoot the ball from 25 feet, catching it above your eyes? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I was going to say, like, you teach my son how to do that. He's only 8, by the way. Then I'll do your podcast. But nah, man, you're my guy. I'll do your podcast.
You should have bartered that, because I'm actually back in the New England area. Would have loved to have made a trip down around your way. Also, shameless plug for the podcast, we have Catch High, Keep High shirts.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to be sending you a couple of those.
Seriously?
Now that yeah, we do. Catch High, Keep High is the slogan of the podcast.
I love that.
So I'm going to be sending a couple your ways.
You can
Absolutely.
go, catch high, keep high, catch high, stay high. You can go a lot of directions with that.
We try to keep it PG, maybe PG-13.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, not the podcast, just the merch.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Podcast now, since we're talking about it, I just want to put it out there now. You're allowed to curse.
Right.
So please do not hold back.
Right.
So yeah, you and I actually are in a similar situation. We're on vacation a little earlier than maybe we anticipated. Not that I want to talk, too in depth of Celtics basketball, but what did you kind of see there down the stretch? Kind of, obviously injuries are a big part of it, and being healthy and playing well at the right time. But did you kind of expect this? Also, running into Brooklyn is kind of unfortunate luck. But what do you got?
Well, I think at this point, the Celtics you got to, let's take it back a couple years. They had a treasure trove of assets moving forward. They had cap space. They had young players. They had it all, going into it. And nothing really came to fruition. You had Gordon Hayward, he left. You get the trade exception, and it turned into Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier gets COVID. Like, everything that was supposed to work out didn't work out for them. And this year in particular, and I think, I bring it up, which is weird that I'm bringing it up with you, because you guys obviously didn't play well in against Milwaukee this year and everything like that. But I always use you guys as a standard. I've always said that the NBA is changing. The best passing teams are the teams that are going to advance, and you're just going to look around, and the teams that move the ball or have those high IQ decision makers or high impact scores decision makers on the team. Those are the teams that are going to be really good. I like Jaylen Brown and I like Jason Tatum. I think those guys are really good. I think they have to level up in their playmaking ability, and when they start making people around them better, that's when the Celtics will reach their potential. And a lot of people will say it's chemistry, it's this, it's that. I'm like, shot profile. It's how easy of looks are you getting? Do you move the ball? Do you make the right play? And we're just not at that point where we have a lot of guys that made the right play. So I think they deserve where they ended up.
It's interesting because obviously there's a lot of complexities that go into running offense at the NBA level, but the more I've been around it, the more I've kind of noticed that the best offenses function by just getting off the ball a lot of the times. And it's that when you get, and obviously you need ball stoppers that can make a play in the playoffs, but to build that synergy that you're talking about, so often it's just like, are you willing when you engage to move it to the open man? And it's hard. I mean, there's so much that goes into that between like egos and statistics and all these types of things. And it makes it tough. Are you a believer in like the statistic of just counting passes? Because I know some teams do that. I'm curious if you think that's like a good metric for good offense.
Yeah, so it depends on the player, right? And don't get me wrong. I was going to ask you this. Or I was just working out. And I was thinking one question I want to ask you, right? Do you ever watch game film with anybody who's like one of your cheerleaders, whether it be like your mom, your girlfriend, do you have anytime you ever watch your games with someone that is like in your corner?
Not really, actually.
Not really. Because I was wondering.
It would be if I were to watch game film with my mom, for example. I mean, my mom is it's like offensively biased and partial towards me. It's like you wouldn't even be able to, like, I don't even think it would hold any value, but okay, continue.
So the reason why I have that question is because, like, let's say I'm watching a Miami Heat fast break, right? And I see you're on the break and I see two guys frantically running to you before you have the ball and Jimmy Butler gets a dunk, right? Like, does mama say, you know, baby, you made that play happen? Or if Bam Adebayo gives you a fake handoff and turns the corner and dunks it, Duncan, you made that play happen. Does your mom say that kind of stuff? Because on the broadcast, I'm like, by the way, during your games, I'll be like, you better find Duncan Robinson. As soon as we turn the ball over, better find Duncan Robinson. I got guys running at you. But the point, why I'm bringing that up in this question is because it's all about impactful passes. For instance, when you come off a dribble handoff, you're kind of drawing two. And from there, you play. When Jimmy Butler gets downhill, he's drawing two. From there, you play. I can get a bunch of morons to pass the ball at the top of the key and get 400 passes, and they don't do anything. But it's all about, does each pass compromise the defense? Does each pass make the defense shift? And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You could do that with a pick and roll. You can do that with a rip screen. You can do that with a fake dribble handoff. Anything that you do, if it draws two, then all of a sudden I think that's a good pass. If it doesn't draw two, I don't actually count that as just a good, even though I recognize that it does soften up the defense. I think it's important to compromise the defense, because if I'm playing and I get put in rotation, I'm dead. If I'm playing and I know it, and you're just doing things that aren't causing me to be in rotation, I will continue to be able to defend at the NBA level. But as soon as I have to get to two and fly back to mine and close out, and then you drive the ball, like, I might as well just check myself out of the game.
That reminds me of, it's another kind of form of metric, but when people talk about the ball changing sides of the floor, those types of statistics require context. If you're just passing the ball from one side of the floor to the other, it's like you need, and that's where, you talk about a guy like JT or JB, where it's like they can create and engage to, and if they're able to get the ball to the other side of the floor, that's when you're really working with an advantage. Just hearing you talk about this, I'm curious how your playing career, obviously it prepared you, and your coaching career prepared you for the fact that you do play-by-play and color, which you might be one of the few who actually do both. First of all, is that true?
Sure. So some of the radio people do both, and I've only done both like a handful of times, like, in a pinch. I don't enjoy doing both. I will do it. It's almost like the way the Brooklyn Net role players are stepping up, and they wake up and they're a little bit different today because they know they're going to get their chance, right?
Right.
That's kind of how I feel when I do play-by-play. Like, we did the Houston Rockets, who were like dreadful, right? But I'm doing play-by-play that day, and I'm like, I got like holes to the palms. I'm ready to go, So I couldn't, if I had to do that 82 times, Duncan, it would wear me out. Like, I can do analysts in my sleep. For me to do play-by-play, I'm working like 4 hours going into it to find out, where Kevin Porter went to high school and his cousin's brother or something like that. So that's just a little bit too much. I don't like doing all that, but I don't mind dabbling in it once in a while.
How has your playing career, or just in general, your basketball acumen, because just hearing you talk, it kind of, just exudes off the screen, if you will. How has that helped you make that transition and be able to have the versatility to do both?
Duncan, I love the game of basketball. I'm not really into a lot of different things. I don't actually watch other sports until maybe the AFC, NFC championship. I love the beauty of the game. I've loved it from the very first time I started playing seriously. All my friends are basketball people. I coach AAU, 14-year-old girl. I never get tired of this game, ever. I never get tired of talking about it. I never get tired of doing it. It's one of those things. So you take that and people say, wow, that's really interesting that you really love this. And now go on TV and talk about it. It's really not like work for me. They pay me to be there, but it's not work because there's so many cool things about the game. And I'm not like one of these old school stay off my lawn when we played like this. I actually love some of the nuances of the game now and the movement. And I love, but so I also hate some of it. Like I hate the lack of physicality. I think physicality is a good thing. I'm not a big fan of, like the lack of fouls. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of defenses being in great position and hitting guys and offenses snapping their head back and getting calls. So yeah, but I do love it. And it's that and first and foremost has helped me transition.
Can we, speaking of you falling in love with the game, can we go back to that period of your life? At what age would you say you fell in love with the game?
So it happened twice, right? Like at first when I was 14 and I'd go to the park and I was like, I don't know how you played Middlesex Magic, right, Duncan? You played
right.
AAU your whole life, or did you play did that start a little bit later?
Basically 1 year of legitimate AAU going into my last year of high school.
Interesting. So
with Mike Crotty, by the way, I think you know Mike, or you've come across.
Yeah, no, I do.
Mike.
I work with another AAU program here, and I think they do a great job. Like their spacing is incredible. I think Mike does a good job. But anyways, I fell in love with this game going to the park. You can play anytime you want. I was really lucky that I had a bunch of friends that loved to play. So I got my 10,000 hours in by being at the park and playing over and over again. And then I was 1 year of AAU as well, but it was a little bit strange because like when we went to the jump circle, I was like, Kobe Bryant was over there. Jermaine O'Neal was over there. I was like, what am I doing out here? Belong out here? What's the deal? So, but then when I got back home and I experienced that, I knew it was like, I was stunting, like thought I was good. And I tell my friends I'm good. And I tell everybody I'm good. Then I went down there and I realized I wasn't. So I'm like, either I'm all in or I'm all out. And that was a great experience. Getting my ass kicked made me all in on basketball. And that goes from playing basketball to working at basketball to 400-meter repeaters on the track to working on your foot speed to, working on certain types of moves that you feel like you can, get off in a game. Before that, I just played and played and played. After that, I worked and worked and worked. And that's sort of like there's like a two-part love relationship with the game.
Yeah, you obviously have the small college come up as well. That transition from junior college to playing in the Pac-10 at the time, what was that like, making that jump? Obviously, there's an increase in ability, skill, physicality, all of that stuff. But I'm curious of the mental side of that, making that jump. You talk about a moment where you go and get humbled. I've experienced many times in my career that like the moment you start to feel like you have things figured out, the basketball gods find a way to just kind of like self-correct, right? And be like, yeah, not exactly what you thought it was. Were there moments like that in that transition?
So from junior college, so everyone told me, so here's like a little background. And I know you have a really interesting story as well. Your story is actually more interesting than this, but I was cut off there's like town, right? We played in junior high. So I was cut off the 8th grade team. So that was 15 players in 8th grade that were better than me. But it was the best thing that ever happened because like the junior 8th grade, all we did is go in the back gym and we had 2 hours a day. And all I did was hoop for 2 hours. And the players sucked that I was playing against. And every time I walked in and looked at the varsity practice, everyone was standing around listening to the coach tell them how to play a 2-3 zone or some other bullshit, right? So I was like, man, this is great. Like I'd rather play than stand around as a 15th man and listen to this, right? So then my 9th grade year, I didn't play a lot my freshman year. Sophomore, I was on the JV team. And then finally, my junior year, I averaged like 10 points a game in high school, right? So it totally makes sense when people said, hey, you know what? You're never going to play a minute at USC. You'll be back here. You'll transfer back and you'll go to some, 2-bit, Division III college or something like that. I just kind of stuck it to you real quick.
Sorry.
But and when people say that, it worked. Like, and I'm one of these guys, like a lot of people don't want to hear the negativity. Like I wasn't like that. I heard it and then I just reacted upon it. I didn't like sulk around and say, oh man, people don't think I can do it. I was like, I'm going to get on the track. I got to work. And I would work, and I worked and worked and worked morning, afternoon, between classes, weights, go to pickup games. At the time, the Seattle Supersonics, it was really an inclusive environment. I would go and work out with some of the guys that they were trying out. So I was driving everywhere to play as much basketball as I can because people told me I wasn't going to be very good. So when I got to USC, like, guess what, man? All that work, I was just better than everybody else. And first of all, like, we go up for the mile. And I know this is, you had to be, because I remember when I worked you out, your conditioning went to like ×5. It had to be. I'm not saying you were in bad shape, but you're in phenomenal shape right now. And when I was in college, I ran a 4:45 mile at 6'9", 230. So I'm lapping everybody on my team. So if you're a head coach, you see this white boy show up and he's all of a sudden lapping your guys in a mile. What the hell are you going to do? Every conditioning drill, we would run bigs and smalls. I'd smoke the bigs, so I'd run with the small. Then I'd beat the smalls. So just the fact that I won all the conditioning drills, the coach is like, I'm going to start you. So then you start and you play well because you start. And all I had to do was just me being in incredible shape because I worked my ass off up until that moment. I wasn't like, when people said, let's go to the track, I wasn't like, oh man, coach is tripping. I was like, let's go. Get my shoes on. I'm going to smoke you guys when I'm out here. So my mentality was like afraid of failing, which really helped me to succeed. So now it's my turn to ask a question. When did you decide, like, this is college is not for me? I want to know, like, when you went to Williams, right? You went to Williams, right?
Yes, sir.
When did you say, like, when you said, I'm going to Michigan, were people like, you tripping, Duncan?
Oh man, I mean there was a lot of noise throughout that whole process. I mean, it's funny now because people in this area will like go play Division III, and the first thing they do when they commit is like, oh, how'd you get to Michigan? And I didn't have that mindset going in. It was like I had a very, very average high school career. I think at this point that's kind of been like well documented. Like I was like not playing my junior year.
I mean, like you were on the bench?
Yes. Yeah. Like not checking into games at points as a junior.
Oh, you were like the Scalabrine of high school. I tell people that all the time. Like when you're the scal of the NBA, it's fine. When you scal in high school, you need to find a different profession.
Yeah, man. It was one of those. But I mean, I ended up getting an opportunity. I like grew late. You know, I was a classic late bloomer. The coach at Williams at the time gave me an opportunity, and I just jumped on it. And he actually left after my first year. Otherwise, I would have stayed there all four, played for him all four, because that was my guy. Still is my guy to this day. But I felt a ton of loyalty to him. But then when he left, he took a Division I job. It kind of opened up the door, and things just escalated quickly. I mean, I remember him getting the job in middle of July. Late July, I'm hearing from Michigan. Early August, I'm on campus taking a visit, committed on my visit, and then 2 weeks later, I'm enrolled at the school. So in like a month, I go from gearing up for my second year at a 2,000 person school in the middle of nowhere to being on campus in Ann Arbor, you know, trying to compete in the Big Ten, which is just a
you got to give me
crazy.
more. Hold on. You got to, who bridged that gap? Like, are they looking at that? Are they watching Michigan is recruiting Williams? Like, come on. You gotta give me more than that.
So this is where it starts to make sense. Is my coach at Williams, Mike Maker, was an assistant for John Beeline, the coach at Michigan at West Virginia. So they had a pre-existing relationship. We ran a lot of the same stuff. When I started to kind of think about leaving, Coach Mike Maker said, you know, if you want, I can reach out and kind of poke around, see what Coach Beeline's thinking, if they have anything. And originally it was just going to be a walk-on, and I didn't want to leave for a walk-on opportunity. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay put. And then he watched some film, and like 24 hours later, he calls me. He's like, yeah, we want to get you on campus for an official visit. And I'm like, holy shit, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And then once I was on campus, it's like, you're walking around. It's like, how could I ever turn this down? Actually, I remember, to bring up my mom again, I remember being in the practice gym, and on our visit, my mom had like no clue what like high major college basketball is. Loves basketball, you know, drives all around the country to come see me play, but doesn't even understand like the jump that is. We're in the practice facility, and she asked the coach, the assistant that's touring us around. She goes, "So do they like bring out bleachers for the games, or how does this work?" She thought that was where we played our games, and I have to like nudge her and be like, "Mom, like this is a practice facility. Like, what are you doing?" It was like, but that just shows you like that was so foreign to us. Obviously, I understood, like I'd played against high major guys before, but like as you know, my mom or my family, like it was never in the cards for me to be playing at that level.
Yeah.
Okay,
one
go
more
ahead.
question.
I mean, you flipped this on me, but I like it. Let's go.
But I've always wanted to ask you this ever since you like went to Miami and blown up, right? They use the term poser mentality, or what term did they use?
Imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Okay, did you have that at Michigan? And then like, I'm not gonna lie, like, dude, I felt that too. Being in the NBA, dude, you got to be a little sicko. And I know you're a little sick because you wanted to fight Marcus Smart, which makes you fucking sick. But if what is that mean? And how hard was that to break? I think I know what it means, but explain to me what you think it means.
I think, when I talk about my kind of career arc, I think a huge part of my career has been convincing myself and like growing that deep inner belief that I'm good enough. And that's not like in a negative way, like I don't have confidence, because I think, and maybe you can relate to this, like I know that you're a killer. And when you get on the court, like nobody can fuck with you. But at the same time, when you make these jumps and you have those moments, whether it's in AAU where you're sizing up Kobe Bryant, or for me when all of a sudden I'm in training camp and looking at Dwayne Wade, it's like, holy shit, this is like real, like this is happening. So I think part of those jumps, like a really crucial part of it, is like learning how to wrestle with those emotions and like overcome them. And I think that the thing that's helped me the most, obviously, is like always having the box checked of knowing I'm prepared from like a preparation and work ethic standpoint, that like I'm deserving of opportunities. Because I think if you don't have that box checked, unless you're just like completely irrational confidence guy, which there are some, they're few and far between. But if you don't have that box checked, then you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
I think having that box checked gives you a chance, but then even then, nothing is guaranteed. So I think that's been like, honestly, the most fulfilling part of my career is like seeing that confidence compound over time. And then like, I'll even look at like a clip of me like talking shit to somebody, or like taking a shot. Even sometimes I'll miss it where it's like, holy shit, that's a ridiculous shot. And I'll just be like, damn, 2 years ago, I wouldn't even be looking at the rim right now. Like, let alone letting that thing fly. So yeah, I mean, now this has kind of turned into a psychoanalysis of my career.
No, but
I appreciate it.
No, but I do think it's a real thing. Like, for me, I knew what I was, and I was so fine with it. And I always laugh at people that talk about being more than you are. And it's like, I am like, so, I don't know if you guys know this, right? Like, just you knowing me, I am so comfortable with who I am, but I'm also uncomfortable when I'm doing things that are out of my comfort zone. Like, for instance, like, it's what my stats and my winning percentage when I'm a starter playing with 4 other great players. It is so easy for me to impact winning. And I believe that I can impact winning. And I believe that I impact winning more than other guys on the floor. But I also know when I'm out there asked to do too much, like, I know I can't do it. And it affects me all kinds of psychological ways, right? But some of the shots you take, you got to be checked into a mental hospital to have irrational confidence like that. Like, how do you go from a posture to some of the shit that you do? Like, I don't understand that one. Like, I understand if you were irrational to begin with and you take those shots, but you go from that to that. It's even irrational to think that someone could become that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like there are little moments where you like kind of like black out and you're like, wow, I really just shot that. But the other part of it is like this has been like hardwired and like built into me. Like I give Coach Spo a ton of credit because he deserves it. ever since day one. Like he used to make me run sprints in training camp when I would shot fake. Like he was, when I was an undrafted two-way, and I was on the floor with Dwayne Wade, and I passed up a 30-foot bomb, blow the whistle, stop practice, get on the line, start running. The practice keeps going, and I'm over there running because I'm too much of a quote unquote coward to be aggressive and shoot. Not to say he called me a coward, but like that's when I go to my place and I like the self-deprecating, like motivational, like you coward, like all this stuff, whatever. You talk about playing a role and having the self-awareness to do so. I think that is an incredibly overlooked part of being an NBA player.
Believe me, I know.
I'm
irrationally confident in how humble I am and how good I am. I am extremely confident and arrogant at knowing that I am a role player.
Right. Okay.
But that lets you stay around for 11 years.
Yeah. I think like it is so irrational of me being a role player that I believe that I can do anything in the world if I have such self-realization of who I am. Like people talk, oh my God, when you're on TV and you see the red light, what's that like? I'm like, yeah, I'm built for this, man. This is exactly what I'm supposed to do. Like, what do you think? Like, the other day I'm at my 14-year-old AAU game, right? And we're in a dog fight of a game. A girl, like the clock is running down, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 4 seconds. She hits the floor on the floor. I call timeout. She gets up. She makes the shot. Everyone on the team was upset by me that I called the timeout and we would have won if I didn't call the timeout, right? I'm like, I called that 100 times out of 100. It's the right play. I don't know what you guys are thinking. And by the way, I ain't listening to you. You play, I coach. This is what I do here, right? So I'm like rationally confident of who I am. But I also know who I'm not. And that's why I'm shocked. But now it makes sense, Duncan. Now I understand why you got your ass in such good shape, because you were passing up 30-foot bombs and you were running lines.
Exactly.
I'm going to start doing that. Every time I pass up a shot, I'm going to chalk it up. I got to run a 17. Oh my God, I'll be ripped up trying to get that six pack I've been working on all year.
How do you embark that on a younger player? Is it something that they have or they don't? Or is it something you feel that you can like kind of instill in somebody, like the ability to buy into a role from a coaching perspective or a mentor perspective?
Like you're a millennial, right? How old are you? Or you're Gen Z?
27. I'm old.
He's
old.
We're way away from Gen Z.
So he's a millennial.
Yes, I think that's right.
So do you get sad? Like every millennial I talk to, it's like they don't want the harsh reality. I don't feel like you're getting. Let me tell the story of when I first met you. This was so great. I tell this story on air too. So Jason Glushon says, you need to go see my boy, Duncan Robinson. You got to meet up with him one way or another. So all of a sudden, I don't know who Duncan Robinson is, right? I know he's a white guy.
As you shouldn't, but yeah.
We're at the Celtic game. So he's like, Glu's like, check him out. And like something about it. And he really didn't give me like enough insight. But I'm like, if Glue asked me to do something, I'm doing it, right? So he asked me, okay, go check. I want you to work out Duncan. I want you to see like if he's good enough. And I'm thinking, so if he's good enough for the NBA. So all of a sudden he's like, hey, Scal, I'm Duncan. I'm Glue's buddy. And I look and I'm like, what are you, fucking walk on? Like, seriously, like you're the guy from Michigan that I'm supposed to go work out and see if you're an NBA player? I'm saying this to Duncan Robinson. I'm not like in my mind, like trying to hold back. Hey man, oh yeah, I'll see you at the gym. It was like, really? You're the guy? So I can totally understand. So by the way, that would you don't know this, but nine out of 10 millennials, they'd be oh my God, they'd never recover from that, mental health problems and all kinds of stuff. With just that meaningless comment from some no names, like whatever I did in life.
Wait, certainly not a no name, a legend in the city of Boston to say the least. But it's funny. It brings up something interesting because my relationship with Coach Spo, he coaches me very, very tough, and I've always told him that that's how I want it to be, and that's how honestly it's needed to be for my career. and he'll make comments about how like whatever like psycho crazy type of way that I use that as some twisted form of like motivation and confidence. So I remember that interaction. It was like outside of the TD Garden. And you were exactly like, you didn't mince any words. You said it exactly like that. And then we went on to have that workout in some like Lifetime Fitness outside of Boston, I think.
Yeah.
You were gearing up for the big 3. Is that right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And we got after it for a day. What were the early receipts of that workout? What do you remember walking away from that one thinking?
Yeah, get yourself. I told you this. I said, and people like take this the wrong way, and I think you took it. Maybe you took it the right way. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But I said, to be in the NBA, you have to be in phenomenal shape. Like, just to say, and that doesn't mean that you're not in good shape now. It means that your level of conditioning has to be so over the top. Like, when you have an opportunity to shoot in the NBA, you have to take it, and you can't allow like you running through 15 screens and sprinting the court the last 5 times. Take that away from you being able to make that next shot. Like, I've seen all the guys who get their shot off and they can come off screens. I was really impressed with your ability to move and shoot. I never thought you would grow into what you grew into. I don't know. I'd be anybody move and shoot like that, but I do think that being in like the phenomenal shape that you built yourself into allows you to just wear people out. And I think I brought up Ray Allen. Ray Allen, over the course of a game, wears people out. I don't know if I brought up Steph Curry. Steph Curry is in phenomenal shape. And that's people don't understand like the level of conditioning it takes to read screens, move, get rid of the ball, back cut, come off to a handoff. Like, just doing that and shooting a shot would be tough, let alone in an NBA game with everyone trying to stop you. So if you were going to play this game and you were going to be successful at this level, like, your conditioning had to turn into what it is. I don't care how much you worked or whatever. If you were in this type of shape, you weren't going to make it, but you had to get in this type of shape.
So what did that workout look like, Scal? Like, what are you having Duncan do in a scenario like that? A kid you don't really know much about. Are you just putting him through like standard drills, or do you figure out sort of like over the course of the workout what you want to see him do?
Yeah, it wasn't like I shot him off the move a few times, but if I would have really known, it would have been like, shoot off this hand back right here. You know what I mean? And then like, I'll rebound, I'll throw it to you, I'll get to the top, you throw it back to me, we'll shoot off this handoff again. You know, like I think it's a lot of that. And like I'd be curious. I've seen you work out before games, but and another thing, how did you improve your shot speed the way you did? Because it wasn't lights out like that. Like, your shot speed, I'm not saying you had a hitch, but compared to now, if we like mirrored them, there was probably a little bit of a hitch in there compared to what you do now, right?
Yeah. Once again, I mean, it's just kind of like the daily vitamins of it. I give a ton of credit to our shooting coach in Miami, Rob Fodor. He's kind of like a mad scientist when it comes to shooting. He has I've never seen in my entire career, I've seen people that are able to like advise shooting and like make little adjustments. Mm-hmm. But he's able to watch somebody and in live time be able to pick out exactly what it is that's like hindering their motion. And for us, we call them like little isms. Like, I have little things if I start missing shots that I start to fall back and resort to. And it's changing those and correcting those that he's helped me with a ton. So I think it's one of those things where like I always kind of had it, but it's just about being able to repeat your best version every time. And then once again, like you mentioned, really be able to repeat it after the demands of getting open, which is what is what's the hardest thing in my opinion to do in the NBA.
Yeah, I just like I just use, obviously it's not like I'm not dumb. I know Duncan's white, and I know that he's not built like a tank or anything like that. So his position would only be, a guy who can, catch and shoot and rip closeouts and finish at the rim, right? That's what I'm assuming at that point, right? But shot speed and conditioning would come into that. And for you to be elite, like the way you become, they're equally important. You couldn't just have a fast shot, or you couldn't just be in great shape. You actually had to get rid of both. Like both, one had to go up, and that shot speed had to improve. And when I say that, for all the people listening, it was already a fast shot. It just had to become like hyper speed. Like really, that's the deal. And it'll be interesting if there's a trend set for people, because I always look at, if you got a hitch, man, I don't actually believe 5 years from now you're going to be able to play in the NBA. I mean, you can be elite at getting downhill, I guess, but I don't think like the hitch is. I think like Steph Curry sort of started this whole thing and getting rid of. He doesn't bring it up like Jordan brought it up or Bird brought it up. I feel like 5 years from now, everyone will shoot the same way you guys do, like just like you're snapping through that zone or whatever it is. So we'll see. That's my guess, because I think the game evolves. You know, Trae Young snaps through the zone. A lot of people do that. I'd be curious in 5 years if we see anybody with sort of a Kawhi Leonard type of hitch.
Hey, Davis, can you believe the Olympics are right around the corner?
That's wild. Time is flying. But yeah, I love the Olympics. There are always so many things to watch. I feel like I don't get to see all of it, though, because they're being streamed from other countries, and they don't broadcast it here, so I can't see it.
Well, what if I were to tell you that with NordVPN, you could watch a lot more with some of the European and worldwide streaming services? You don't have to miss a game or a match, even when you're abroad or the game's abroad. You can change your virtual location with a click. And like I said, you'll find streaming platforms, some even at a lower price. You can use it on 6 devices, even on your smart TV.
I would certainly be interested in that, although I would worry that it might be a little slow to buffer, you know?
Buffer? Stop. You don't have to worry about that, because with NordVPN, you get a next-gen solution with Nord links for maximum speed.
Sounds a little complicated. Do I have to be a techie to use it?
No, not even. It's easy to download, and once you get set up, you'll be able to use Auto Connect for more convenience. And that buffering you were worrying about earlier, those days are over. You can watch all of it without interruption.
I've heard enough. I'm sold. I need it.
Well, check this out. It's easy. Just go to nordvpn.com/longshot or use code LONGSHOT to get a 2-year plan plus a bonus gift with a huge discount. That's Nord, NORDVPN.com/longshot. Or use code LONGSHOT to get a 2-year plan plus a bonus gift with a huge discount.
Dunk, you know about HelloFresh, right?
Do I know about HelloFresh? Of course. I use it all the time. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
Sounds pretty awesome. I'm not a huge cook, though. How does it work? Should I be worried about that?
You don't need to worry about that, Dave. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips, so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in just about 30 minutes or less. You can try HelloFresh's quick and easy meals, 15 to 20-minute dinners, breakfast on the go, and more easy options, perfect for your busy lifestyle. And check this out. You don't even have to be bored with the same meals over and over again, because HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items each week, including ready-to-eat salads, sandwiches, and soups. HelloFresh offers the flexibility you need to easily customize your order on the app within minutes. You can easily change your delivery day, food preferences, plan size, or skip a week whenever you need. I'm telling you, Dave, I've had these meals and they are delicious. All you got to do is go to HelloFresh.com/longshot14 and use code LONGSHOT14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping.
Whoa.
That's 14 meals free on the Long Shot or on HelloFresh, depending on how you want to look at it. That's HelloFresh.com/longshot14 and use code LONGSHOT14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. Remember, folks, it's America's #1 meal kit for a reason. Yeah. You left out a part of the workout, which was that we played one-on-one at the end.
You beat me, right?
I wasn't going to get into that, but what I was going to do is I was going to use that to transition into the Scallenge, which was well documented in the Boston area. I don't know if it got the national attention that it deserves, but what was kind of the genesis of that thought? And for people who maybe don't know, it's basically you were just challenging. You're probably sick and tired of hearing people say that they're better than you, which is just a ridiculous statement. And you basically just put an open challenge to everybody. All right, come play me a one-on-one. Is that basically what happened?
So when I got done playing, obviously I mentioned earlier, I love basketball. I do. And when I got done playing in the NBA, go figure this one, I played in like every rec league. I also flew around the country and I wanted to go into like the hoodest of hoods of pickup games. I'd call people in Dallas. I'd go to Dallas, play pickup, be the only white guy there. Philadelphia, LA, New York, whatever, right? So that was like, I love it. I always wanted to do it. I didn't put it on Instagram, or anything like that. I actually just wanted to do it for me. I know I'm crazy. I know it actually didn't happen because it wasn't on the gram. But I just wanted to see what it was like playing at different places. And so I went around the country, whatever. And I was playing.
Wait. We might need a couple stories from those days before we get into Scallenge. Just give me one gem. There's got to be a handful, but give me one.
I mean, my worst game I played was at Villanova. And Evan Turner, like, he just laid into me one game. I'm like, dude, my bad. All right, I got to pick it up. I get it. I don't know. I was fatigued. Maybe I drank the night before, whatever it was, right? But no, in general, like this, who you see right now is who I am. Like I walk onto a court and I don't walk in like, oh no, what's going to happen? And I would say, to be honest with you guys, going back, like in the psychoanalysis, I never as a kid felt comfortable ever in any environment except for when I'm playing sports. Like in school, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like talking to people and like doing small talk. Like, what am I doing with my life? I go and play sports. It's like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever, right? Yeah. So that environment is still the exact same for me. I'm never afraid. I gotta say I was afraid one time. I fouled Shaq so stinking hard, I thought he was gonna kill me. But besides the time I fouled Shaq, and which is a funny story. Besides that time, I've never actually been afraid of anything. I just feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to play sports. This is what I feel natural out there. I love it. I love the communication. I love the trash talking. I indirectly trash talk through people, and they had no idea that I'm trash talking. It was so great, right? So besides that, so when I go into these environments, like people know who I am. I go up, I dap it up, and I go out there and I go and I hoop, and I don't really care what people think or say or anything like that. It's just how I'm wired. So that was fun to do. But going back to the Scallenge, I played in this YMCA rec league. I dropped 60 in a game. And it was like, I wasn't trying to brag or anything like that. I was just like, yeah, I had a good game. I had 60 the other night in my rec league. People got immediately started tweeting, oh, you suck, Scal. I'll beat you. I'm like, listen, I may suck for an NBA player. Like those guys are pretty good, but I don't suck compared to you. Like you suck compared to me. I suck compared to Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook and those guys. So let's just do it. So we invite the city of basically all New England can send in their videos. I just, went one-on-one against 5 different guys, and they scored about what they don't recognize, like, and what you and me do recognize. When you're in the NBA, there's all kinds of tells, right? Like if a guy puts his hand like that, you know what he's going to do. If a guy does a hesitation, you know what he's going to do. Well, all that stuff is like in real time in the NBA. You got to be so on top of the reads. It's not speed. You can't look at me and say like my brain is slow. Like my brain is fast. Like my body might be slow, but I have to read whether a guy's going to shoot, drive, go to the middle, pass. If you're not reading those things, you're not playing in the NBA. And there's countless guys, 6'10", athletic, strong, and they don't read like the intricacies of the game. They don't see a hesitation dribble. They don't move until the ball is passed. Duncan, I'm moving when the ball is on the gather. If I'm not, I'm dead. I'm dead in the water. So like that me having to analyze a game like that allows me to play a guy one-on-one. It's like I can literally, like, in the middle of his inside out move, think what I'm eating for dinner and still challenge his shot. It's not like I'm doing this against this high level these people. So anyways, I do that. I watch him. Most guys who scored on me, they scored the first or second possession. And then once I figured them out, it was like, I've seen this 1,000 times. You like to drive left, go right. You like to step back right and all that. Like, I know that, like, within 3 possessions. These are players I've never played before. And then the sheer size of being 6'9", 250, it's tough for people. So that's how it all played out. And, it wasn't really that challenging.
There's a legendary quote that came from that, which is that I'm way closer to LeBron than you are to me.
Yeah.
which is so incredibly true also. And it just needs to be reiterated.
Yeah.
But yeah, the footage of those games, I've sifted through the footage plenty of times. There's a lot of gems in that. Sometimes, like, my favorite is when you just decide at some point that you're just fed up and you're just going to play absolute bully ball. Yeah. You're like, this game's gone on too long. Like, yeah. and not that they're scoring, but it's just like, you settled for a couple jumpers. Maybe you missed one. It's like, all right, I'm going to end the game now. And you just just barrel your chest into them and, like, just get a layup every single time. And a couple of the guys you played were, like, college level players. No?
Yeah. It's just the size. The size is a big deal. They think that the 6'9" guys that they're around playing at the rec center are slow. Like I said, I'm not playing 11 years if I'm not reading the game at a high level, if I'm not, like, moving my feet. Which, by the way, Duncan, if I didn't play in the NBA, I would also not be very good. There's a reason why I every day I throw out the speed ladder before practice or before a game, and I do speed ladder work for 10 minutes every single day to refine my defensive movement so I'm not, like, off balance. Because if you get off balance, you're dead meat. I always look at recovery factor. I cannot recover in the NBA. I can't get beat and then use my strength and athleticism to get back into play. The attention to detail that I have to defend at the NBA level is unheard of in the world of not in the NBA. And I'm sure a lot of guys, there's a lot of guys that don't get the speed ladder route. I did it for 11 years. Every practice, every workout, every day, I show up with a ball and my speed ladder in every single game or workout I ever go to, because I want to refine all my defensive movements, because I knew for me to play, I have to defend. And I ended up becoming a really good defender because of it, which, on the contrary to what people think, because white guys can't defend, they just think, like, you can't move. But if you can refine your balance and your movements, you could end up, being a decent defender.
So, speaking of your defense, can we get back to the Shaq foul story? Because you left like a hidden gem there and then sort of breezed by.
So Shaq gets an offense. I tell you, this is like the most. I felt like I'll tell you the story. So Shaq gets an offensive rebound, and the coaches say, you're either 50% shooter, you got to foul him, and don't let him get an and one. So he gets an offensive rebound, and I'm behind him, right? And he comes down, and he goes up, and I'm like, I got to foul Shaq. And I come down, 2 hands, as hard as I can, like almost like a horse collar, but I'm just going to like I'm going to just destroy this man, right? Like, this is not going to be good. And I'm afraid as I'm doing it, like, damn, this is Shaq. I can't believe I'm doing this to Shaq. And I went down and I went to grab him. And instead of my hand, like, see how my hand could wrap around my shoulder? It was like I hit, like, cement. I just went boom. He went up and he dunked it. So as soon as he went up and dunked it, I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to kick my ass. Like, this is like the worst position I could be in. And I almost would rather him have kicked my ass for the fact that he didn't even recognize that I was there. Was way worse for my ego. Like, I was thinking to myself, like, oh shit, I'm gonna get my ass kicked by Shaq in front of everybody. And he just walked to the free throw line. Like, I felt so insignificant. I almost quit the NBA at that point. I was just like, you know what? I'm probably not an NBA player. If I gave this guy everything I had and he went up and dunked it, like, I wasn't even there. So that was like the only time I was actually afraid of another human being, because, he's massive. But that made me feel so insignificant.
You obviously did not quit the NBA. You went on to have a 11-year NBA career. Looking back, you're in year 11. what would your advice be to a younger Brian Scalabrine at that point? Is there something really significant that you took away? Like one thing, two things, whatever it might be.
Yeah, like probably the same thing I'll tell you. Like, because you're gonna get like $80 million this offseason, maybe $100 million this offseason. Like you have to, like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter in the scheme of life. On the contrary to what 99.99999% of the people think in this world, that money is like it's supposed to change you. And all of a sudden now you're staying at your mom's house. Now you're gonna be living on Lake Winnipesaukee, and then you're gonna rent a yacht and go into the Greek Isles and all that bullshit, right? Like and no matter where I've been and what I've done and where the happiest I am is when I'm playing basketball. I know it sounds so fucked up, but it is 100% accurate. When I am in the gym, like accomplishing and doing like the things I do, when I am walking into that Philadelphia gym and I'm the only white guy there and people are like, "What you doing here, White Mamba?" Like, that is who I really am. And I think along the way, I got sort of like, not, and this sounds so negative. It's not, right? It's not a negative thing, but I got so caught up in being like an NBA player that should be doing NBA things. I give two shits about all that in my life. I really don't. And at the time, I thought I should care, but I'd rather have stayed the same thing. And now as I'm older, I'm like, you know how old people don't care, right? I'm like the old guy. I'm actually back to who I was before. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people do. I'm just going to be who I know I am. So like you should always remain the Williams guy who was like with his mom and at the practice facility and be like, mom, this is where they play the games. Like, you should always be the imposter, right? Imposter. Like, you should always be that guy, because that is the best version of Duncan Robinson. The best version of me was like like second round pick, fighting for everything, like super confident and all that, and what I am and what I do. Never fronting or stunting, as the kids would say.
I've learned that, I mean, it's unbelievable advice, first off, and I think it rings true in so many ways, but it's also, that's really hard, especially when you're surrounded by the lifestyle that comes with the NBA, because you look around you and it's like I've had so many moments where it's not like frustration, but it's like, I don't know, like there's some sort of negative side of all of those luxuries becoming normalized. Like it's the fact that all of a sudden now, like, you get on a regular flight and it's like, oh, this isn't chartered. And that's something that, like, I'm in year 3 or finished year 3, I guess. And I like actively fight. I can't even imagine what that would be like for like a Udonis Haslem, year 17, 18, whatever it is, or you playing 11. Like, it's hard.
Well, Duncan, I just ask yourself this, right? Let's make yourself, like, be at arm's distance away from Duncan Robinson at all times. Like, you can go to the Greek Isles, but call Jason Glushon and have him call a guy where you can get a nice workout in. Do a 2 a day when you're in the Greek Isles on your yacht or whatever it is, right? Just stay at arm's distance away. Like, don't get too far away from Duncan Robinson. I would always say, like, be an arm's distance away from Scal. Like, it's fine. And I think it's like healthy to like step away, no question. But I wish, like, I always stayed an arm's distance away from like the Scallenge guy, from the second round pick by the way, I used to love to play Summer League. Loved Summer League. Why? And I look back and why did I stop playing Summer League? I fucking love it. I love it. I love playing Summer League. Why would I stop playing? I should have played in year 10, in year 11. Why do people stop playing? I don't know. Because everyone tells them you should stop. You're getting old. You should stop. And screw that. I wish I would have, like I love being in LA and working out like a time with Rob McClanahan, or, like, always stay, whatever you do, just stay at arm's distance away at max from Duncan Robinson. I think that if you do that, like, you're still gonna square up on Marcus Smart, even though I don't think that's a smart thing to do. Like, you're still going to be like that guy. If you maintain an arm's distance away, you can still stunt. Like, you can take the private jet just when you land in the gym. You can. Just know, like, or like do form shooting, whatever you do to get the stroke that you get, right? Like, you can do that if you stay close to who you are. And I promise you will look back on your career and you will love your career if you stay an arm's distance away from who you are. And I really love who you became. I really do. I admire it when I watch. I almost, like, in a way, like, I'm inspired by that, even though I would never take the shots that you take. That's fucking insane, right? I'm just really, from where you were to where you're at, I'm really, like, I think you talked about the human mind. Like, just don't stay an arm's distance away from running lines when you pass up a shot.
I love that.
It's so eloquent. It's very wise. But I was hoping you'd give him the opposite advice, because we're getting ready to head out to LA for the summer to do some podcast stuff. So I was hoping you'd maybe tell him to, like, live it up a little bit. No. But I think maybe
you can, but just whatever, bring a fucking ball to the club. I don't know. Like, just stay, like, just don't get too far away. Trust me. Like, either MJ, Jordan back in the day, they say that if he went out the night before, he was up at 8 a.m. doing one dribble pull-ups, He drank the night before. He said 500 one dribble pull-ups. So he always stayed an arm distance away from being Michael Jordan, right? So, like, I think that's important. I really do.
Davis mentions us going to LA, that we're working on podcast stuff. I'm going out there to work out. I just want to make that very clear. And I'm living in the Valley too. So I'm not in the mix of everything. I'm staying in the Valley, keep my head down.
I'm trying to change the narrative.
Where do you train at in the Valley? Are you training in the Valley?
Yeah, I'm working with a couple of well, Noah is in Burbank.
Got it.
And then somebody else that I'm working out with, a guy by the name of Mike G, doing my strength and conditioning with, who's really good with that. He's out in the Valley as well. So trying to stay out of the way, stay in arm's distance. I love that advice. I think it absolutely rings true. All right, well, this has been awesome, man. We've actually taken you way past what we had promised, mostly because it just kind of flowed.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up here. We have our undrafted segment. So basically, we're gonna give you 3 topics. I'm gonna lead it off. We want the underappreciated, the undrafted, if you will, of each of the topics. So I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna say member of the 2008 Celtics team that basically didn't get the love that you felt he deserved.
That's easy. So the underappreciated of that team?
Yes.
James Posey. Got to be.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
Got to be. So do I have to give another one for that?
No. Just that. It's a quick hitter. Quick hitter.
Underappreciated from a national standpoint.
Yes.
Posey. And you know how it is. Internally,
everyone knows. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Got it.
Posey.
Dave, what do you got?
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. What about for those of us that aren't insiders? Why James Posey?
Oh man, because he used to stunt his ring. Like, you ain't got this. You guys got to work hard. You don't know what it's like. He would go to Garnett, like, you don't know what it's like to win this ring right here. So, like, it was almost like, man, sometimes you're like, man, shut up, you and your ring talk, like all that. So it was like he had what we wanted, and then it was, and he would call Paul Pierce out like that. He did all that, that was important. Like, you got to call people out. That's how the NBA is. I think that's how the NBA should be, but it might not be that anymore. But you got to call people out. Like, you got to make sure that everyone is taking 1% and getting better. 1% better. That's 15 guys. That's 15% better. That's a ring versus first round exit.
Got it. Makes sense. Thanks for the explanation. I'll take the second one here. We've talked a little bit about the perks that come with being an NBA player, staying arm's length away from those sometimes. But I'm curious, do you have an underappreciated perk of your new gig of being the commentator, the perks that come with that role?
So yeah, my popularity in Boston is more now than even as a player. Go figure that. So
love it.
I'm 10-1 in the money I make in appearances or endorsing companies as a broadcaster than as a player. You would never have guessed that.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I have a pasta sauce. I have my own alcoholic drink. Like, it's, yeah. I'm still arm's distance away from being scattered.
Yeah. Sounds like you're big timing us. I don't know.
No. It's a little obnoxious, but like it's not obnoxious if you know me. You got to know me. If you don't know me, people who don't know me think I'm obnoxious. People who know me are like, oh yeah, it's like he's like, I told you at the beginning, I am supremely confident in who I am and what I am not. So I will always be an arm distance away from that guy, whoever that guy is. I'm always like know exactly who I am and who I am not.
Yeah, the pasta sauce guy.
Yeah.
I'd rather be an alcohol guy, like, hot chicks serving alcohol, like, the drink girls and stuff like that. So it's much better to be in the alcohol business than the pasta business. But hey, man, you got to do what you got to do.
I meant it when I said this guy's a legend around here. He's got his own pasta sauce and his own drink. That's special stuff right there. I'm gonna need some of that. I got to try it out also as well.
We have to. Maybe we'll do a workout together.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. You obviously watch every game. You're dialed into every game. You do your pregame, all the notes and everything. Is there a player in the NBA that sticks out to you as being just generally underappreciated?
Underappreciated in the league.
Yeah.
In the league. A few guys.
I only need one.
Yeah. Kendrick Williams. I like him.
Wow.
I think he's like underappreciated.
That's a good
my
answer.
boy Pat Connaughton, underappreciated.
Middlesex Magic legend.
That's a homer pick.
Middlesex Magic.
I think he's good. I think he's good. I think he needs to be out there more. There's a lot of guys. Clint Capella. People are kind of figuring it out now. He's underappreciated. Yeah,
that suffices. That's a good three right there. I like that.
Yeah, that's
I
two
can
more
go
than
on
we
and
asked
on. There's like a guy in before the playoffs, Bridges from Phoenix. Like he's underappreciated. I can go on and on. I recognize all the underappreciated guys. I got my eye out for those guys. Come on.
Right. Love it. Yeah. All right, Scott. Well, hey, we really appreciate the time. Like I said, we took you longer than expected, but a lot of gems in this one. So thank you for the wisdom.
Arms distance away, Duncan. Arms distance, baby. Like
I'm locking that one in. I'm writing that one down. Don't worry about that.
Just have like take, like you said, 3 things. Like hit 3 people to make sure you're an arm's distance away, and that's all you got to mention. Is that an arm's distance move? That's all you have to mention.
I like it.
Great stuff. All right, man. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you or talk to you soon.
Sounds good.